We are, yeah. In the 20 group, we're number one in gross. You know, it's funny, and you know the story. You know, when you first came in and said, "Hey, I got this program here, and I know it's going to do well in your store," and obviously the desk manager were a little skeptical. I think you remember I put my brother in charge of presenting Shopper Stopper on every deal that he did. And then at the end of the month, we were going to look at the numbers and see, okay, you've got 3 desk managers doing it the traditional way, which was the 4-square way, protecting the invoice from the customer and everybody else. And then you've got my brother, you know, presenting Shopper Stopper numbers to every customer that he sees. And at the time, everybody saw pretty close to 80 to 100 customers, the desk managers. And so anyway, his gross was $600 higher than any other desk manager on there. And the back, it wasn't just front end gross, it was back end gross was a portion of that too. He was higher in finance too. Because I truly believe when you're disclosing all the numbers like that and you're being fully transparent, it's going to play off in the finance side too. People are going to trust you back there as well. Every town, I think, now is the same, or every city is the same in the sense of everybody does their homework before they come in to buy a vehicle. And more so today than ever, because that stuff is so accessible. So when you're able to give them all the information that they already know, well, you know, it brings credibility to everything that you're laying out in front of them. And so that's the power behind Shopper Stopper, is being able to be credible with the customer, because you know they've got it in their pocket and they're hiding all that information. And once you've given them that and they kind of look and say, okay, this is all matching up, I think those walls come down, and then the trust comes out, and then really, you know, they're moving forward with the deal at that portion. But you know, I think if other dealerships are doing it different, I think if they're still doing the shell game, which I call the traditional probably 4-square and that sort of thing, they're at such a disadvantage, because it really is both sides trying to protect the number. And so when we're both on the same page as a customer and in a business, I think that gives you all the benefit, and it gives you all the trust from the customer. So it's been great here at this store. If you're presenting the numbers correctly and you're going down and you're offering different downs and different payments, really you're looking for their hot button. And I think that's what you've built into this, is get them to circle something, get them to commit to something on this page. Once they do, now we got an avenue to go, you know, on the Shopper Stopper. And so anyway, that's helped us really cut this down to that long drawn out back and forth with the desk. You know, I don't think we do more than a couple passes with the customer, and really we understand where they're at and they understand where we're at, and we come to an agreement, we can sell that car. You know, our whole goal here, and I think it's with any dealership, is time is your #1 thing that the customer really is critical of, because everybody needs to be somewhere. And if you can cut that 4-hour down to a 2-hour process, really it's not something they dread the next time they're going to go buy a car from you. They know that it's a very quick process. They know the next time they come in, this is the process. And I think that's important too, you know, so expectations. And really the beauty with the Shopper Stopper, in my opinion, is when they get a customer sitting in front of them and they've made these promises out on the lot that, hey, you know what, we're going to show you all the numbers on this vehicle and then numbers on your vehicle, you know, and they get them inside, they have all the confidence in the world they can get through those numbers, and any objections that come up, they're able to handle those, because that's all we do is train on the Shopper Stopper. Meaning, when you show up in the morning, there's a chart right there, and you have to have a manager sign off saying you went through and actually did a pre-game warm-up of the Shopper Stopper. So when that customer comes in, you are actually ready for the day. You've kind of warmed up your skills. And so we are having these guys go out, present numbers to the customer. And the beautiful part is with the Shopper Stopper, I mean, it's a cost-plus program, which means here's our invoice, here's what we paid for the vehicle. And obviously we're going to incur some costs by having a building such as this one, and all the costs that go with that. People understand that, especially business people that have their own businesses. they look at it and say, I understand there's overhead. And they do, they get that part. But you're still being transparent with them. And you're even saying, you know, if there's any money coming back from the manufacturer, we're going to give that back to you right here. And this is what we expect for a reasonable profit. And so once they start negotiating in that area right there, now you've taken that, which would probably have been somewhat of a loser deal, and you made it into a great positive. So they are so comfortable with the process now the way it is. Cost plus pricing, that shows you the invoice. Michael's Toyota Bellevue, where it's all about you.
That's what I like. I like that.
I bet you do. Yeah, we do. We mix it up a little bit, but that's one we've used for a lot of years. A lot of years. I would imagine 8. Probably saying the same thing for more than 8 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it must work.
It does work.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It works extremely well.
Now, I know in your group, Hudeberg Toyota, was, when he joined the group, they were in the very bottom.
Yeah, last in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah, and profitability.
And I heard from Jim Patch, the GM there, and he said that he was and I know you missed the last meeting, but he was preparing something because he had moved up and he was sitting.
He's in 3rd spot.
Right.
I didn't make the meeting, but my guys were there, and so Jim is in the 3rd most profitable position. He's just 2 out of 1st.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that certainly brings credibility to what you're doing. I want to thank you for coming and seeing us first, because, you know, we feel like, you know, we've been on this, you know, probably longer than anybody. And
yeah.
I tell you what, we have never, not once, ever strayed from the process, ever.
So it was sometime in late 2000, I think.
Yeah, that's right. And I became GM in 1999. And you were like my savior, because the whole goal was, when I was in fixed operations, we were very profitable, and Bruce came to me and said, hey, can you do in the front end what you did in the back end? And at the time I said I could, but I didn't know how I was going to do it. And then in you walked with this program. So you really helped me bring you know, some great profitability numbers to the sales side as well.
Yeah,
so
it kind of took off right away.
It really did. It is, once the sales department became a believer, and that really only took that first month, then, you know, we mandated that everybody present 100% of the time the shopper stopper on every deal. Tell you what, it just took off. So, you know, great program.
Well, thanks, Eric.
You bet. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.